Hi guys, today I'm going to make another painting commentary and talk about this work, the Sistine Madonna. This painting was made 5 centuries ago, at the beginning of the 16th century, by one of the masters of the Renaissance in Italy, Raphael. It may be one of rare examples of paintings that are more famous for only one small part, these little angels at the foreground that are extremely famous. They have been represented many times, and you probably saw them already. When Raphael painted this work, we were at the beginning of the 16th century, and a period that for the history of arts in Italy is called the High Renaissance. You know that it is always a bit arbitrary to name periods, because the evolution of art is also something linear, but it is in Italy that in the 15th century started in Italy this movement of renewal in arts, painting, sculpture, and architecture that would spread in the following century to the rest of Europe and be of crucial importance for the evolution of arts in the Western world. And the centers of art in Italy were wealthy cities like Florence or Rome, where rich noble families and representatives of the Catholic Church patronized the arts. Raphael is, together with other very famous artists like Da Vinci, like Michelangelo, one of the best representatives of this period of arts that were flourishing and that left incomparable treasures to us. In this time too, one very important thing to understand is that images were much more exceptional than today. Today we live in a world that is saturated with images through the screens, through the commercials we see everywhere around us. It is extremely basic to be put in contact with images in our daily lives. But this is very recent in the history of humanity. In the Middle Age and still in the Renaissance, the public had a very limited access to images that were not reproducible like today, and were almost in the Christian world a monopoly of the religion and the church. And we have to imagine the impact that for the public the paintings could have when they entered the churches or the public buildings that were the rare places where images were on display, which, by the way, is also why the Catholic Church liked to use the power of images and maintain almost like a monopoly of images in public space in order to reinforce its prestige and its influence on the population. So in this time, the creation of art and the art of painting were closely associated with the Christian Church, and there are few profane works that were created in comparison with a very abundant production of religious images. The career of Raphael was relatively short because he died young at the age of 37 only, and he was born in a city called Urbino. He spent a few years in Florence between probably 1504 and 1508, during which he learned the taste and the techniques that were dominating in this city before being called to Rome by the Pope Jules II. Being called to Rome for an artist in this time was something extremely prestigious, because the popes were not only powerful in a symbolic and spiritual way in Christianity, they were also monarchs at the head of the papal states that were a state in the middle of Italy, almost like a papal kingdom that gave the Pope access to a territory and an army. And Jules II is a good representative of the popes in this era. He left a very important artistic heritage. He is the Pope who ordered the destruction of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, and commissioned the building of the St. Peter we know today, one of the greatest architectural achievements of humanity, and he is also remembered as the warrior Pope because he actively participated in foreign affairs, in wars, and sometimes went to war at the head of his army. In the 15th and 16th century, much could be said too to criticize the papacy, because much more than a religious or spiritual thing, the papacy was extremely political. It was shared between families who were influential in Rome and in Italy in general, extremely wealthy, and for these families, having cardinals and popes were a way to acquire prestige and influence that they were looking for. And it is in this context that Jules II commissions this painting, which I am going to talk about. The painting represents a Madonna. This is a very common subject in the 16th and 15th centuries, in a composition that is called a sacred conversation. The sacred conversation is just a way of building compositions in painting. It's a style representing the mother of Jesus, Mary, with saints that seem to be engaged in a discussion with the Mother of God and Jesus. The two saints that are represented here are Saint Sixt on the left and Saint Barbara on the right. And the presence of Saint Sixt on the left comes from the commissioner of the painting, Jules II, because this is a reference or a tribute to his uncle, who also was a pope in the previous century, under the name of Sist. And the name of the painting derives from this. The painting is at the same time very refined, very glowy, and very simple. And this is a first aspect of it that I think deserves explanation. The structure is very simple. It is a pyramid with Mary and Jesus at the center, and two saints on each side. It is simple because the lines are very clear. The structure is almost symmetrical. There is no abundance of small details, but at the same time there is a high refinement in the colors. The colors are extremely intense. These are essentially primary colors but they are impressively intense. And this refinement is also perceptible in the use of a technique called the sfumato. The sfumato that was developed especially by Leonardo da Vinci is a technique of painting with multiple very thin layers of painting, layers that are so thin that they are almost transparent, and the accumulation of these layers creates like a translucent and extremely soft color that gives almost a divine or unreal aspect to the landscapes or the clouds. This technique is used in this painting. And one thing we need to be aware of is that this painting is a trompe-l'œil. Literally, trompe-l'œil means deceive the eye. It was made to give the illusion to the viewers that the characters represented were real, and the dimensions of the painting are quite important, so that the characters are life-size. The eighth is 2 meters 60, the width almost 2 meters, and the spectators were placed just in front of the angels at the foreground, giving them the impression that the scene was taking place behind a baluster, and they could almost have the impression of touching this scene. And that's a remarkable kind of depiction in reality, because you know that the representations of the sacred, the divine, were, but often still are, represented like another world that is inaccessible to the viewer, even to the believer. Whereas in this painting we have a totally different intention. The Virgin Mary is walking towards the spectators. The two saints are represented like intermediaries between the viewers and the Mother of God and Jesus, which is the traditional role that the Catholic tradition gives to the saints. And this representation of the divine is extremely graceful and at the same time human, comforting for the spectators. First, because the Virgin is coming to them. Second, because the faces are very soft and friendly. And also, if we pay attention to the clothes that the characters are wearing, especially Saint Barbara on the right and the Virgin, we see that all the clothes that are close to their bodies are painted in colors that remind of the human flesh: red, pink, adding a soft and human dimension to their representations. And also the structure of the characters and the general painting is made to reinforce this feeling of closeness, with almost like a road between the Virgin that is being watched by the saint on the left, at the same level that the saint on the right, who herself is looking at the cherubims at the foreground that are like real characters at our level. And thanks to all this structure of the construction, thanks to the wonderfully gracious hand of Raphael in this painting, we are invited to enter the world of divinity, and the divinity that is coming to us, putting itself at our level with a very friendly and welcoming aspect. And we are invited as viewers to enter this world of perfection, of simple beauty, which brings us back to the very definition of what art can be. Art is something that makes us realize that we are not only basic beings at the most simple level of our conscience, but that through art, through spirituality, we can have access to higher levels of conscience. We can realize that the world is more beautiful, more elevated than it seems, and I think this work is reminding us of the very definition of what art is. Thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you soon for comments on another topic.